The second part, joints. So as definition we can say joints are where two bones met. So whenever two bones are connected with each other, or they just attached to each other, they are making joints. Joints are making skeleton flexible, and without joints movement would be impossible. So suppose your finger, as they are made up of, in each finger is made up of three bones, so that's why you can bend it and move it easily and your fingers are flexible. But if you analyze your femur bone, as it is the longest bone of our body and it is only one bone, so that's why we cannot move it. So joints are making our skeleton flexible. So we can say that we can classify joints according to their movement in three categories, like immovable or fibrous joints, like we have in our skull, partially movable or cartilaginous bone, which is in our spine, and freely movable or synovial bone, like it is connecting our hips with the femur bone, and different kind of joints it can be. Starting with the first kind of it, immovable or fibrous joints. So these are joints, in these joints bones are held together by just a ligament. It means only ligaments are joining that kind of bones, and these joints are immovable. It means we cannot move that kind of bones. For example, in our skull, so after birth skull is slightly movable, but when once skull finished growing, so it changed to be immovable. We cannot move the bones of our skull. Or joints which are connecting teeth with the jawbone is also kind of immovable joints. And also the other example of immovable joints are radioulnar and tibiofibular joints that we got in our arm and foot. Second part is partially movable or cartilaginous joints. So these are slightly movable. It means a little we can move that kind of joints. For example, the joints of our vertebra or bones that we got in our backbone, and they are linked with each other with the help of cartilage. So freely movable or synovial joints are kind of joints that we can move it freely in each direction that we want. And for example, shoulder, neck, elbow, wrist, knee, and the hip bone can be good example for that kind of freely movable joint. And they got a liquid, there is a liquid between each bone, that's why they are got a synovial liquid that we can call the synovial liquid. So there are three kind of freely movable joints. The first one is hinge joint, which is allowing movement in one direction only, as we have in our knees and elbows, that we are only able to bend our elbow forward, not backward. Or and for our knee also we can say the same thing. The second part is pivot joints, that we can all rotate and twist that kind of bones which got pivot joints. And for example, our head, we can twist it, we can move it side by side. The next kind of movable joints are ball and socket joints, and they got the greatest freedom. It means we can move it in each direction that we want. For example, the hinge joint, the arm, or we can say the elbow joint is like this. The structures are like this, one bone with a hole and the other bone with the structure. They are connected with each other, they are making a joint, and that joint is only movable in one direction. The second part is pivot joint, which is like this, so we can rotate and twist it, got that kind of structure. And the ball and socket joint is like this, so one bone got ball like structure and the other one got the socket like structure. They are fixing in each other and they are making ball and socket joint, that they are freely movable in each direction. We can bend it, twist it, move it forward and backward. In each direction we can move that kind of bones. So what if joints are damaged? If they are damaged, so there is some artificial joints that these are metal or plastic joints, If your real or natural joint is not working properly, if it's damaged, so surgeons can take out that joints and place some metal or plastic joints instead of it, and it can work as your real joints. So these are artificial joints. So the next part is cartilage. Cartilage is a connective tissue. So what was connective tissue? Connective tissue is a kind of tissue which is connecting, supporting, bending and separating other tissues and organs. So these are supporting other organs and structures. So that's why the cartilage is also one of the connective tissues, and it is so much important. It's an important structure in our body. It is hard, but it's softer than the bone, and it's more flexible than the bone. It got a hard structure, but it is softer than the bone. As you can see in this picture, between at the tip of each bones which are making joints, there are cartilage structures which are preventing the friction between that two bones while moving that bones, and this is a main function for the cartilage. So in different parts of our body we can find cartilage. For example, in our ear, nose, bronchial tubes, ribs, knee, hip bone, shoulder, and in our backbone, we are vertebrates, we can find cartilaginous structures. And basically there are three type of cartilage, like elastic cartilage that we have in our ear, which is the most flexible one, and under microscope we can see the cells of elastic cartilage like this. The second one is hyaline cartilage, which is the second most flexible cartilage. In under microscope we can see it like this, and it's in our nose and ribs. So the third kind of cartilage is fibrocartilage, which is the least flexible, and in knees and vertebrae we can find it, and under microscope we can see, observe it like this. Next structure, ligaments. So ligaments are structures which are fibrous structures, and they are also kind of connective tissue which are supporting our body, and they serve to support the internal organs and hold bones together. So two bones are being connected or with each other with the ligaments, or ligaments are holding two bones connected with each other. They are fibrous structures or fibrous bands which are connecting two bones, and can support internal organs as well. Next part, muscular system. So today we're going to talk about muscular system. Let's start it. First, let's see what is muscle. Muscle is a soft tissue found in most animals. So it is a soft tissue in most animals. We can find it in most animals. There are muscles that they got. If we zoom in the internal part of muscles, we can reach to the two filaments, which are actin and myosin filaments, which are proteinous or kind of filaments which are made up of protein, and these actin and myosins are helping us to move. Like suppose this is the actin and this is the myosin, they are just sliding past one another, and they are producing contraction, and they are changing the length and shape of the cell, by which they can help us to move our muscles. So muscles got some functions. The first is movement, as it is connected with our bones, so it can help us to move. Maintains of posture and muscle tone, like it can give us a particular shape, and the heat protection is also a kind of function of the muscles, and protecting the bone and internal organs. Obviously organs are being protected with bones that we got, and bones and organs both are being protected by muscles. Muscles are protecting it, and then skin is protecting three of them, like muscles, bones and organs. So basically we got three type for the muscle, which is cardiac muscle, skeletal muscle and smooth muscle. Cardiac muscle is only in heart, it got that kind of texture, and skeletal muscle is kind of muscle which is covering all our body parts, and smooth muscles are muscles which are covering our organs. Starting with the smooth muscle, we can see that fibers are thin in spindle shape, so the fibers of that kind of muscle we can observe are thin and they are spindle in shape, and they got single nucleus. As you can see, in each cell there is only one nucleus. They are involuntary. It means we cannot control that kind of muscles. Like we cannot say our stomach to do not digest, or our intestine, we cannot prevent our intestine from absorbing food particles or materials which is required, and they are contracting slowly. It means we cannot feel their contraction, like we cannot feel that okay, at the moment my stomach is digesting, or we cannot say that I can feel that my intestines are absorbing something, or my kidneys are filtering the blood. I can feel it. That's why, I mean, they are contracting slowly that we cannot feel it. And we can find smooth muscles in circulatory system, digestive system, respiratory system, and urinary system. The next kind of muscles are skeletal muscles. Fibers are long and cylindrical. As you can see, fibers of that kind of muscles are cylindrical. They have many nucleus, as you can observe, many nucleus in each cell. They are voluntary. It means we can control it, we can feel their movement, and we have control on their movement. And that skeletal muscles are attached to the bone with a structure that we can call it as tendon. If you remember, we said that two bones are connecting with ligaments, but bone with the muscle are connected with tendons or fibers like this. And these tendons are causing to movement of the bone. It means they are attaching the bone with the muscle and making us able to move both of the muscle and bone at the same time. So the third kind of muscles, cardiac muscle, which is only can be found in heart, and each cell has central nucleus, as you can see, and cells are branched in shape, and these branches are fused with each other. And as I said, only in heart we can find cardiac muscles, and contraction of that muscle leads heart to pump the blood. And a healthy cardiac muscle never gets tired of pumping the blood. So muscles are important. As we said, they are supporting our body, they are helping us to move, and so many functions it got. So there are some muscle diseases as well. For example, the first one is muscular dystrophy. It's a kind of genetic diseases, and this disease, fibers of muscles are getting damaged, and the symptoms of that kind of disease is weakness, immobility, and imbalance. The owner of that disease cannot move, and they cannot and they do not have a balance, we can say, and there is no specific cure for that kind of disease, as it's a genetic disease. The second example of muscle disease are compartment syndrome. In this syndrome, muscles are being compressed, and they are compressing blood vessels, and at the end the tissue of your muscle cannot get the nutrients and oxygen and different sort which is required. So blood vessels, muscles, and nerves are getting compressed in this kind of disease. And as you can see in this picture, muscles are getting compressed and they are pressing the blood vessels. As blood vessels are compressed, they cannot supply oxygen and blood to our damn muscle. That's why it is a kind of diseases, and it can lead to paralysis as well. So the other kind of muscle problem that we are familiar with, it is a muscle ache. The common causes of muscle ache is like muscle tension in one or more areas of the body, or overusing the muscles during physical activities, like working all day, injuring the muscle while engaging in physical demanding work or exercise, while carrying something. For example, you can injure your muscle, or while doing heavy exercises, or skipping warm up and cool down while exercising. It can cause to muscle ache, and how we can ease it, how we can cure it. Resting the area of the body where you are experiencing ache and pain, taking an over the counter pain reliever, using a pain reliever such as ibuprofen, and applying ice to the affected area to help relieve the pain on that place.